It has almost come to the end of our winter adventure on the Woodlines. We prepare to head out once again for our last ride to try and find a missing camp. Our previous bike tracks will make this much easier initially, but it will get harder. What have we found?
A woohoo!
Huh? Woohoo!
Yeah, it says woohoo! Schweppes. Quandong.
Every now and again you find something that's really cool. Just back from the horse yards, I've come across a couple of dray hubs. This one looks like it's been made by Karen or Garen with a capital A up atop. And this one is Gilpin. There are a few other bits of dray equipment. So parts of the shackles. And there's a couple of bits of steel that are used to support the wooden struts on the dray. Well, fry pan. I'll leave them back where they belong. All ready to go to cook dinner. Exploring the Woodlines is a pretty good way to get fit. There is plenty of walking while we explore. Now I'm pretty sure this is something Stacey would have liked. This is pretty special. It's a genuine copper. Yeah, you can see the way, actually, it's in pretty good condition. Except for the ants living in it. This tree, it's been cut down. It must be good 1, 2, 3, 18 inches across, I guess. Not that size anymore. And Skinny over here has found some interesting things.
Solar machine. Excellent.
Is it?
I don't know. Probably not.
It's 2 legs of something.
Yeah. It's got a screw in it.
Wood screw.
Looks like a hubcap is what it looks like. I know.
Small ink bottle.
That's a kid's spinning top, I think. You know the
one?
one?
Oh, yeah.
Where he got the spinning out here is beyond me.
Big tree.
Look at it there, they didn't even use it.
Yeah.
They cut it, but they didn't use it.
There's the Quandong Seed. I'm going to crack one of those open and show you what the nut looks like. The seeds are pretty tough and you need a hammer and some place to hold them in so they don't fly everywhere. And inside the little kernel, and you end up with a little nut like that. Quite a nice one. And very tasty. This is our last ride for this trip. We've come across the last camp on a spur that we've been chasing for a couple of days. Steve's found a bottle, not sure what's in it, but it's still in it, turned all black and syrupy. Looks a bit like it even could be honey, but who knows. Hard going to get into here, but we're clearly not the first people here because the bottles have been stood up. And there's a range of beer bottles from the original Bicos, not the country version, to gin bottles lying on the ground.
There are beer bottles everywhere over this camp.
As I said before, there aren't any vehicle tracks or motorbike tracks or quad bike tracks into here. Doesn't mean to say someone hasn't been here before, because clearly these bottles have been stood up. Years ago, when I lived in Norseman, I heard a story that there was a bloke that lived in either Coolgardie or Kalgoorlie that used to drive the Woodlines, hunting down the old camps and following the old rower lines in a old beat up Land Cruiser, and I suspect he is probably the bloke that's been out here before us. I wish I'd started exploring the Woodlines a lot earlier and might have been able to find a bit more, and it might have been a bit easier to get into here.
It's been here a while.
Good as gold. What's that one couple down there, your feet?
Well, that's good as gold.
A few Wood Sons and Co. Another two good as golds.
I think they're all anchor bottles in them. Yeah, they're not. They're fungus on them.
Lichen.
I don't liken it much.
I liken it to fungus. Oh, it's an unusually shaped dog spike.
Yeah, longer than normal.
Steve's just found a Holbrook sauce bottle, still with the lid intact, or yeah, still with the lid inside anyway.
Doesn't smell like honey. Had a screw lid on it, but
Yeah. You know, well, this area they were cutting out in 1926. Yeah, right. That's the rower line there, just there, and that's the pit. Yeah, but that'll be the pit where they dug for the horses drinking. And there's a couple of fish plates.
more than a couple.
Yeah. Well, maybe there were two lines here, because there's still a mound on this side here. You know, could have been because what they might have done is to bring an empty rake of wagons in, and then uncouple the loco at that end and bring it down on this track, and then recouple it at the front.
Okay, yeah. Well, that might just put us across
A broken dray hub. Yeah.
The last camp of this trip has been found, and now we prepare to race the sun back to our base on our last ride in. We can follow our tracks back to camp. It is much faster, and they are only just visible on the old formation. It ended up being a slow ride back to camp. I had another puncture in the rear and have been riding slowly like this for about 2.5 kilometres now. With all the riding over, it is time to have a bit of a rest before tea time while we think about packing up. A job we all hate, especially as it is the breakdown of the camp on the last day. There always seems to be more to pack up.
This tree was once cut down by the woodliners, probably around the era 1926. It would have left a stump maybe around this height, and from there 5 stems have grown out to become this tree today. You don't see this naturally in the bush anywhere.
It is drive out day today, and our trip is just about done. We get on track around 8:30 in the morning to make the long journey home. This area is a good example of the regrowth after a bushfire. It is clear how difficult it would be to move through this bush in a vehicle. After a fire, trees sprout even in the vehicle tracks that have been there for years. The Ocker is surprisingly good off-road. Once we replace the engine with something a bit more powerful, it will be brilliant on the road too, though it will always be a truck.
Just been exploring a rock that we come across on our way back home from the Woodlines, and there are a number of nammer holes here, all full of water. Some of them aren't very deep. There's a big one over there that's had some earthworks done to it to improve its catchment, and around the base of the rock it looks like someone's dug a big trench and all the runoff from the rock is collected in there, and there's water in there as well. Bet the donkeys love it. Do you love it?
No, I'm not a donkey.
Oh. And the one in front is where someone's done some earthworks to improve the catchment. It's probably about 1.5 feet deep. Last camp on our trip for this year. What do you reckon?
No. We'd go another 5 nights, as long as I hit a shop first.
No, well, it's a pretty spot. I like the spot, but it's the last night. What's good about it?
Well, this is pretty much the end of our trip to the Woodlines for this time of the year in 2022. I hope you've had a good time. We have.